Hey guys, it's Henry at Mowers and Blowers. Good morning to you. This is the LT1000 Haworth, New Jersey pick. The one where I got paid $50 to go get it. Anyway, so the guy gave it to me because he says that the connecting rods are gone. That's what he said had happened, because there was a lot of grinding noises and it didn't turn over. So I just did some preliminary triaging, and what I did was I took the spark plug out of both sides, right, and I put my thumb over the hole while I used the other hand to turn, and I felt compression and suction there. I also felt compression and suction on that side too. Further tests, I took a screwdriver, stuck it in there, turned the flywheel, and the screwdriver was moving. Same goes for that side too. So what does that tell me? That tells me that both pistons are connected to a connecting rod that is still connected to the crankshaft, which means that the connecting rods are not blown. So that's great news, right? That the engine is probably good. However, I charged the battery and it cranked, but it didn't start at all. Now, I did take some carb cleaner and shot it into the carburetor. By the way, you guys know that's a Nicky carburetor. They suck. Anyway, so it started up with that shot of carb cleaner. So it started up. I was elated. I was so happy, you know. However, I was wondering why, you know, I checked the gas tank and it was clean and almost empty, so I filled it with fresh gas. So I have fresh gas in here, and I cranked it some more. Nothing. I even took the air cleaner assembly off and everything, and no gas was shooting off, no gas was getting there. I pulled this off, no gas is coming out. Now, this hose here is supposed to have vacuum sucking from the combustion chamber, from the crankcase, right? So when I put my finger over it, it feels like it's blowing, not so much sucking, you know? This air breather thing actually sucks a little bit, okay? But not this one. So I think this is supposed to suck. So if this sucks air through the fuel pump, right, and draws fuel into the carburetor. So this isn't working, you know, but I am a little concerned at why this doesn't really suck. It really just blows, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. When I blew into here with my mouth and sucked with my mouth air, there's no obstructions. It does, you know, go through. Same goes with this one here. If I blow in here, air comes out there, but it doesn't feel like there's any kind of valve or anything. However, when I do suck out of here, it won't let me. So I don't know. I'm a little concerned at why this doesn't suck. This is supposed to suck air. You follow what I'm saying? And this is connected directly to the governor area, you know? Unless there's a leak here, which I doubt, you know. So I'm inclined to take this fuel pump off and check the insides to see if the diaphragm's working correctly, you know. But I'm pretty stoked, man, that the engine is not blown. At least that's what I'm thinking. It's not blown, you know. Some people came over to my backyard last night and did some free aerating. So I want to thank the raccoons in my area for aerating my lawn for free. Thanks, raccoons. I'm inclined to take this fuel pump off and put it on that one, just to test. So I know that this fuel pump works because this one spews gas all over the place, you know what I'm saying? So I know this fuel pump works. So I'm going to take this off carefully because, you know, if I take this off, the springs are going to go boing all over the place. So I'm going to take that off and swap it with that one. That fuel pump is off, and I was very careful with that spring. And I put it over here, and I'm going to take this one off and replace it. The oddest thing, man. This one doesn't have a spring in it. It's gone. What the heck? Doesn't make any sense, man. So I just put the Murray Nicky Carb fuel pump on here. That one that has a spring in it. So I'm gonna see if this fires up now. It lives! Oh, I think there's something still wrong with the insides. I heard some stuff. And you see the governor, how it just went up like that? That's not good. So how did I get it to start? I'll tell you. So it wasn't sucking. This part here wasn't sucking, right? And that's taken from that area right there. Alright, so it wasn't sucking. However, this breather hose was sucking. So I merely took this and stuck it in there, right? And that's how you get some suction for the fuel to be sucked into the carburetor. And that's why it started. And it ran for, you saw, 10 seconds or something like that, 20 seconds, pretty well, until you heard some clinking sounds inside, right? That caused it to just go, you know, rev super high, uncontrollably. It wouldn't respond to any of the controls over there as I was trying to lower the throttle, you know? So I had no choice but to shut off the throttle, shut off the engine. So I'm thinking the governor shaft is gone. All that clanking, I have a feeling that that's the governor inside that what sounded like maybe shredded to pieces, you know. So unfortunately, could have caused some damage inside. It just revs really high, you know. So got some issues going on now. Thinking I might have to pull this motor to get to the back panel, inspection panel, right, and replace the governor if I wanted to salvage this engine. So guess what? I don't think it's as bad as I thought. So I was looking at the governor, right? And the minute I start the engine, it wants to over rev. So I basically put my finger and put it down like that, right? And when I put it down like that, it didn't over rev. So I was controlling the rev, right? So it seems like I have to reset the governor is what it is, you know? There's something with this governor that is not set right, you know? It's set to over rev. I don't know why. Maybe just skipped a tooth or something like that, maybe. I'm not sure. But yeah, I have to reset this so that it's lower, you know? I haven't really messed with governors so much. So I'm gonna go watch Donnie Boy or Taro or something and figure it out. When I controlled it with my finger like this and I lowered it like that, just a smidgen, just like a little bit. It was on the lowest throttle on the lever, and I just kept it down like this and to prevent it from stalling, but also lift it up a little bit to keep it running. And I don't know, this thing here should be pushing it down a little bit, you know, and not so much space here in between. I'm gonna have to figure it out a little bit, but I think I might have dodged a bullet, and it's basically just a throttle or governor adjustment. So I adjusted the governor, basically loosened that screw there, adjusted the governor, held it there, and then tightened the screw. This is the lowest throttle. That's the highest throttle. It's running really well. see if this moves. It does have a small gasket leak. It's on the bottom of that inspection panel cover, you know. It's not really a big deal. Problem is though, I kind of have to take the whole thing off just to fix it. So it drips all the way down there. And it's right there. Right at the bottom of that cover. You know, the engine does vibrate some, so I'm now thinking that it's not running on both cylinders. So you know how you test that? You just put your hand on the, the exhaust manifold, you know, the exhaust pipe, and that's hot, okay? And I go over here to the right one, and it's warm. It's not hot. Look, I can put my hand on it. So I don't think the cylinder's running. That's why the vibration, because it's an opposed twin, right? So I'm going to have to check it. Took the spark plug out. It's got water in it. It feels like water, you know, and it's cold. This hasn't been running. Water. So I'm gonna crank this without the spark plug in it and try to get some of that crap out. So I got some wrenches, 1/2 inch, and I tightened the bolts on the inspection panel. Believe it or not, each of those bolts I could turn 1/4 turn, so they weren't tight at all. Doesn't mean it still won't leak, but I'm hoping, you know. Anyway, this part here is for Chris's small engines. Guy's a stickler, man. And the most fundamental things he wants me to show on video. Anyway, pal, checking the oil, right? I'm checking the belts. Checking the tires. You know, I checked the battery. Voltage 12.69er. You know, I checked the carburetor since I just pretty much replaced the fuel pump. And I adjusted the governor and the linkages. You know that. I checked the fuel because, you know, I just added fuel because it was dry in conjunction with the fuel pump sorting out, right? So I checked the fuel. The mower deck is not even on there, but for Chris's sake, I'm going to check the belts. What else am I going to do? Oh, guess what? I'm going to check the blades. Guess what? They're new. So there you go, Chris. The most fundamental things you want me to check and put them on video. Nobody else wants to see that, but you do. So just to shut you up, there you go. I checked it. Anyway, I don't think it worked because it's still continuously leaking there. I wiped that area and it's still wet now. So it's still dripping even after torquing down the bolts, so the gasket's probably gone. Well, I guess that makes my decision kind of easier now and apparent. Is that if I have to change that gasket anyway, I gotta remove this engine, at least be able to tilt, tilt it so I can work on it. You know, you can't reach that area. I guess you can. Maybe I can do it without it. Maybe I should try that. That'd be interesting. Could probably do it without removing the engine. There's plenty of hand room there. I'll probably try that then. Ooh, what do we got here? We've got bits of stuff. Gaskets leak is busted right here, see? I wonder what that is. That's not good. I bet you that's a connecting rod. That's probably why this is not working. So I've got some bad news, fellas. Use the mirror and you could see clearly there's the crankshaft and there's no connecting rod attached to it. That's the crankshaft right there, one of the bearings, and there is no crankshaft connected to it. So those parts are in there somewhere. So that leaves me no other choice. I gotta take the engine off. I gotta take the engine off and rotate it so I can see. Take the right side head off and replace that crankshaft. Replace that connecting rod for sure. I was amazed that it runs. You know what I mean? It runs, and that was why the right side was not hot. It was because it wasn't even connected. So it was only running on one cylinder, which is good news because you don't have catastrophic damage on the inside. So I think it was a clean break so much that most of the connecting rod was not attached on the spinning parts. It was just basically top. You know, the piston is on the top there, so it retracted most of the handle, you know, the connecting rod. So that's good news. I mean, wouldn't it be better if it just worked? Of course! Guy's not going to give me a perfectly running machine, right? So, you know, it is what it is. I am a little perplexed as to how he had it running without that spring inside the fuel pump. You know, that's weird. But whatever, I just have to address what I have in front of me, you know, and gonna have to just take the engine off and order a connecting rod. And well, I'm gonna take the engine off, flip it forward so I can see, you know, and assess the damage a little bit better. So I have to disconnect the throttle linkages. Well, actually, couldn't I just rotate it? Yeah, I could just rotate it. So yeah, I'll take off the 4 engine bolts on the bottom first, disconnect the battery, and once this is loose, lift it up a little bit to disengage the muffler pipes, and then rotate it counterclockwise so that the inspection plate is visible on this side, and then I could assess the damage.